Welcome everybody, good morning. Welcome to the talk, Breaking Barriers, the Art of Free Gamified Security Training. Just to confirm you are in the right room, today we are talking about gamified security training. If you are looking more for artificial intelligence and security, I have another talk at 2 o'clock, which is about Copilot for security cases. Today we are here for something else. So, I would like to start with a question, which is all about who believes in the vision that software security should start from developers? Raise your hands. So, most of you here, which is good to see, because many developers think that security is someone else's job. And as a follow-up, I would like to ask you how satisfied you are with the trainings, the security trainings that you know of. So if you are happy, like 7 out of 10 to 10, raise your hands. Please do, don't be afraid. Okay, happy you are satisfied. And if you are dissatisfied, raise your hands, like if you think something should change, something should be better. Okay, most of you agree with that statement. And this is what we hear from millions of devs out there. They believe that the security trainings they know of are less realistic than what they see in their real life, because these trainings happen outside of the dev environment. When you have like these video-based trainings that everybody clicks the next button, for them it's not their cup of tea, it's not something they enjoy. And some other players in the industry have multiple choice questions. That is like who wants to be a millionaire kind of approach with a finite set of answers, which doesn't look like the real thing, because in reality, first of all, you don't have a finite set of answers. And the main thing is that you don't know if you fix the issue. You might open the door for many other security problems. And finally, the lack of personalization and the thing that is boring. And when something is boring, we tend to leave it. Today, I'm gonna walk you through a real property technology startup case study that worked for us. And the good thing is that we didn't know they are working for us or with us. This happened along the way, which is nice to see. It's organic. And many of you, like same as me, will be like, WTF is PropTech? Like, is this a new industry? I was the same. Like, what is this? Okay, so what they do basically is that they centralize authentication and authorization for access cards. Like for instance, if you stay in this hotel, you have a card, you enter in a room. But if this is a chain, like Radisson Blue in different countries, which it is, they can have a SaaS approach to centrally manage all their access cards and so on via the air. So this is what this company does. And as a startup, it's based in Vancouver, Canada, a small company. At the time was like 100 people. Now they are a bit more. And the way that it was organically coming to us, it was through GitHub Advanced Security, which is abbreviated as GAS, which has code scanning through a language called CodeQL, secret scanning, and Dependabot for dependency management. And I would like to introduce you to this dashboard because it's going to be useful in this case study today. So this dashboard has alerts in time, and it includes secrets, software vulnerabilities, and dependencies. And the different colors show the severity of these vulnerabilities. So you have critical, high, medium, and low. And now let's dive into that specific company at a point in time. I know this talk is about gamified security training. We are before these days. We are just looking at a point in time in this company now. Forget about games. Let's just see a startup at its beginnings. So this is this PropTech startup, December 2022, 180 open security alerts in their first scan when they introduce our product. The important thing for you to remember or observe here is the areas that these boxes occupy. So you see that they have critical, they have a lot of high, a lot of medium ones, some lows, some yellows. And let's see what happened after 2 months. Someone could say, oh, they do well. But are they? The red has remained as it was. The orange has remained as it was. The security risk is high. This company can be hacked anytime. Okay? And they have managed to minimize a bit the lows and the mediums, but they didn't really do something themselves. It was all kind of automated through dependable, through secret scanning, straightforward and automated in nature. And let's now see the next point in time of this company. You may think they had some progress, but the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, wanted to make the developers of this company to be as effective as the security team. And I'm not gonna lie, this company had like 80 software developers and 2 security people, which is very common for startups. And one of the security people, you have it here, is this person. Is a lot like management person, but at the same time wants everybody to be a force multiplier, okay? So the previous dashboard is not something they were happy about. And then let's see them again in August 2023. Before games, before anything, someone might say, wow, nice, they do well. Well, they don't. There's a catch in this slide. Okay, so we see them in August 2023, down to 18, but the main driver because of this was like code scanning and office hours, with the main alerts being the high and critical ones, complex of nature because it's about design flaws, okay? And then strategic issues. They have to be in the same room, they have to discuss, they have to have friction in between them. And again, office hours, elephant in the room. If we put it in numbers, and this is very common in the startup scene, this meeting started to take 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5, and then it was like a 2-hour thing every single week, soon after March. The whole security initiative was taking more than 4 hours every week, making the whole company unproductive, with a lot of friction between security, developers, making the security posture to be unsustainable, which is risky for security and makes the vision to be impossible. Why? Because in cybersecurity, let me go to the next slide. In cybersecurity, you have to defend equally in all fronts. You might be very good at like social engineering or like in securing your servers, your code, your databases, you have like endpoint solutions. But if there's one element that you don't do well, you will still get hacked, get breached. The attackers need to succeed once, and you have to defend on all fronts equally. But that company wasn't defending equally on all fronts. And this company was getting bigger and bigger. With their business expansion growing, the attack surface grows. As the company size increases, you have more people, so the social aspect gets more vulnerable. And at the same time, as the code lines increase, you are statistically having more software vulnerabilities to deal with. So we are faced with the choice of, do we take the route of continuing like we were and we have to do these long office hours and see in the future if the vulnerabilities grow or not grow, or think outside of the box. And now, as I said, this was an organic pickup with them as a client. They were following us on social media, and they found out about a nice game we created that was all about addressing each and every statement we saw in the beginning. Developers being outside of the dev environment, being boring, and so on. We took every single statement and we tried to give a solution. And then this happened. They created a hackathon out of this game. We call it the Secure Code game. For them, it costed nothing, and for every person around the world, because our game is open source, so they just forked it, they hosted it in their servers, and they played. And how they did that? They flew everybody in Vancouver, they flew 100 developers in Vancouver, and they made them have teams of 2. They matched a senior developer with a junior developer, and they played the levels of the game. But let's see this game. Okay, so the Secure Code game is our initiative, the GitHub Security Lab initiative, to provide an in-repo learning experience where the learners secure intentionally vulnerable code. Right now we have 2.1 thousand stars as of this morning and 6,000 active players every time in the game. Okay, let's see this game. So someone can navigate to gh.io secure code game, which is a repo inside GitHub Skills. It's a free website. People can play without paying anything. They can build some skills. In the same way there is Microsoft Learning and other learning sites around the globe. So if you notice here, we are inside a template repository that somebody, a public template repository that somebody can fork by creating a new repo. They can choose to be the owner of the repo, give it a name, and from there they can choose public or private visibility. I'll tell you the difference later on. For now, public everybody can see, private not everybody can see. And once you do that, instead of being at Skills Secure Code Game, you are now in your own repo and you have a fresh repo. And here you can click Create Code Space so that instead of you installing locally all the dependencies and things like that, you can remain in your browser and play natively from your browser after 1.5 to 2 minutes, depends on your connection. And I want to show this again because everybody has 60 hours of free code space usage every month, every GitHub users. So for this game, you'll need around 10 to 15 hours to complete, depending on your level. But you have like 50 more hours to code in open source or use it for anything you want. So by clicking this button, you are going to remain in your browser. Your code space is going to be set up in a tab. Everything is isolated. You don't have to take care of the dependencies, which makes friction to be like minimal, and you can arrive in your code editor. I synchronize the code space editor with my local settings. So I have my font versus spaces, my tabs versus spaces, my own themes and stuff like that set up. Okay, let's get familiarized with the structure here. As you see, there is season 1, and then we have season 2. Full disclosure, I created season 1 fully. And because I don't have skills in every coding language out there, season 1 has Python, C, and some JavaScript inside. But season 2, because it was community contributed on its entirety, and people out there have way more skills than me, we have GitHub Actions, Go, JavaScript, Python, and Go. Okay, every level, so every season has 5 levels, and the levels increase in difficulty every time. But season 2 level 1 is as difficult as level 1, is not a level 6 difficulty. And every level has the exact same file structure. So let's observe the file structure. You are given a code file which includes functional but vulnerable code, because functional code can be vulnerable. And you are given some unit tests that initially they pass. However, you are also given a hack file, which initially fails. And your goal is to make the hack file to pass while keeping the tests to pass, so that your code is both secure and functional. And once this happens, you can proceed to the next level. You are given a hint or more hints and a model solution that is very lengthy with good explanations on how to do stuff. And we also have a contribution guide for people who want to contribute more levels. And back to the public versus private. If somebody needs more hints than we provide and their visibility is public, they can benefit from using GitHub Advanced Security for free so that they can have some code scanning alerts. They can go see the alert, they can go back to the code, fix the code, and check if the alert is there or it has been gone, as a way to give people some more hints. Back to the case study here. This was a big, fun, and nice, successful opportunity for the company. The CISO, which is one of the 2 security people in the whole company, observed that the developers on the qualitative side, they had an increased sense of ownership after that and willingness to learn more. They understood some of their gaps. They saw how they can improve. And if we quantify a bit, this meeting that was taking 2+ hours per week, it was taking 15 minutes bi-weekly. And the vision was achieved not in August straight away, but along the line, because in present, until like a month ago that I checked with them, they had 7 open security alerts. And this is in a sustainable way, without having spikes. And this secure code game has become their own onboarding training for developers by forking and changing the code to be such as the problems that we are seeing most often. If we quantify a bit more, and then I'll speak a bit more in general about security training, 96% reduction in the security issues, 180 to 7, and 97% in the time needed, 4+ hours per week, down to 15 bi-weekly. This is the ninth stat in my opinion. So these developers were challenged, you know. I have a motto, some people might disagree, but personally, I believe that quality code should be secure code. I was in university 10 years ago, and I learned to code functionally. I learned, for example, this is how you do an input statement in web, but I didn't learn that I should sanitize the inputs there. I had to learn this after, when my code was broken and so on. And this is something that it's nice because 9 out of 10 developers realize that they have to become effective in fixing security issues themselves. They have to be autonomous, and it's something that they need for their career in the future, so that they position themselves as somebody who is not gonna be reliant into like a security person. So you don't need 2 people to do one person's job. And because we have time today, and a reminder for those people who are watching us online, please ask your questions along the way, and we are going to answer them at the end. I would like to touch a bit before we go on next steps in this talk on some trends I see, both in the startup world and also in the more corporate world that I personally come from, as I work for GitHub, which has Microsoft as the parent company. Something that I see with my clients is this trend of service level objectives, or SLOs, given to the developer teams in the context of fixing security issues. For example, I am a team manager and I manage a team of developers. It's very common for the CISOs to pass down some quotas about security fixes to the team managers and tell them like, you know what, every month you are gonna be benchmarked around how many vulnerabilities you are fixing, not necessarily introducing. But I see some smiles. But if you care about fixing the problems, you care not to introduce them in the first place. Shall I repeat that? Yeah. So, exactly. So if you care about not fixing things, you care about not introducing them. And this is because when you don't spend time fixing, you spend more time developing. So this is a trend we see in the dev world. Instead of punishing people for introducing problems, you have an expectations from them to fix the issues they introduce. So this is where the company is going, and this is what is effective with them. And this is why security becomes more and more important every day. Let's now see a different angle of this game. And let's talk about the universities that organically started to use the game, because some people here might have this interest. We are talking about the University of Novi Sad, the technical faculty, where they introduced it in the class of ComSci, computer science, and Erwin, the associate professor there, thought that is a more efficient way to share knowledge because the students try it first, they fail miserably. So you have like 100 students, they are broken down in teams of 5, they are given 20-25 minutes to fix an issue, they don't really manage, and then they have the next 40 minutes in the class to get the lecture about this, so they practice the concepts. And it's all about this Serbian professor want to show to his students that, you know what, security should come from the first state, should come from the design. If you introduce it at the end, it's so late that first of all, you are gonna have friction, you are gonna have a budget needed, you are gonna be seen as someone who is the no person, as many security people do. And then I would like to touch on why gamification works, how it's growing along the way, and maybe somebody here today can be inspired to introduce this in their own company. Maybe we have some security champions here. Who is security champion here in their company, by the way? Or who wants to be one? Okay, let's see. A lot of room of improvement here. Okay, gamification is everywhere. And the market of gamification, so this was before COVID, this is COVID, 9.1 billion, and by next year, it's tripled, right? Yes, 30.1. It's growing a lot. And some things around us are gamified without us realizing. Let's have a look. Some nice stamps you get when you keep choosing the same coffee brands. Some social media, when you get likes, is about enforcing a good behavior. Loyalty points from this card or other cards. And some communities around the world that you run and you get some kudos and stuff like that. And this is where the secure code game falls into. You take some boring, daunting, challenging knowledge and you break it down into stages and you make it rewarding along the way. All of these are gamification. But why does it work? It works because of us humans. So it triggers real emotions, specifically dopamine. I know, okay, you might not chase dopamine when you play the secure code game, but let's understand this, okay? It gives us happiness, it intrigues us, and it excites us. How? We feel that we have control and we are the masters of our own destiny. I'm not a gamer, but a game I really liked in my teenage years was GTA, Grand Theft Auto. I had to move in a finite map, right? But because you move by driving motorcycles or cars, you think you have freedom and you are the master of your destiny. But you are moving in a finite map. You have a known reward and paved way. To get the like, I have to post. To get the points and travel, I have to spend with this specific card. Good behavior, reinforcement, like you do this nice thing, you get back something else. You have a sense of achievement, I pass the levels, I get the badge, blah, blah, blah. Competition, again, competition is what the prop tech startup did through the game. Escape and explore, I personally forget about things when I do this. And teamwork and collaboration, you can have loyalty, team spirit between your community. So this is a map in general of why gamification works and how everything becomes a bit better with gamification, even security training. And now, back to the game. I'll do this the opposite way. So this was our main driver, okay? Give something that is inside the dev environment, and we gave that through code spaces. Keep it open. They can have multiple solutions. The model solution is just one out of dozens of possible solutions. It's not video-based. It can get personalized when you fork it and you bring it down to your own problems like the PropTech startup did. And based on the comments we are getting and the number of players, it's not boring, at least for me. So our open source approach, community-driven, developer first, customizable, hands-on, and gamified, it's our own take in gamification training, which is something that maybe you don't expect from a company like GitHub, the AI powerhouse. So I would like to invite you to not miss the chance to try out your skills, to understand if you are good also in securing the code you are writing, right? Because again, fixing a problem is a total different story than spotting a problem. Then you can try code scanning for free alongside some new GitHub advanced security tools like AutoFix, secret scanning, and Dependabot. If you have a license, For GitHub Copilot, you can also play around, as Copilot to test your code. By the way, if you think you want to run the secure code game at a larger scale, and you want me to help you with the infrastructure or getting you like free Copilot licenses, speak with me. This is something we've done in the past. And finally, code spaces. So you can run everything at your own browser without installing stuff locally by using code spaces, where you have 60 hours for free every month. Finally, we welcome your contributions. This is Denise. Denise is a senior product security specialist at HashiCorp. And the reason that he contributed in the secure code game was because he wanted to have an impact in the wider security space by securing the whole open source security space through giving the chance to developers out there to learn about patterns he sees at HashiCorp or other open source projects. A bit about myself. I'm this guy. So I live in London. I work for GitHub for the past 3 years, and I enjoy giving talks, creating content, especially around AI for security, that my second talk is about today at 2 o'clock in a different room. And I'm coming from a team that specializes in finding security issues in the open source world. So we are the GitHub Security Lab, and our mission is to secure the open source software that we all depend on. And I want to give you some numbers. In the past 4 years, we found, as of yesterday, 995 security issues, 700 plus of which, I think is 716, have been given CVEs, and 96% of that is fixed. And open source is everywhere. So in your car, in your fridge, you have open source components. So we secure libraries that you are using without you knowing. And you can follow us in X, formerly known as Twitter. I know this word is not so nice. Where we publish our research, we publish education content for developers, and in general, where we do workshops, where we speak. I'm just one person that gives these talks. There are other people who are more security hands-on or more like developer hands-on. I'm somewhere in between. So we have time to answer questions. I'm here in this conference today, tomorrow. If you don't want to ask something here, you can ask it later on, or you can ask me something online. And reminder to the people that have watched this online, you can ask something online. We are gonna have your question answer live here, so we can use the next minutes for any question you might have. So you have been a fantastic audience. Thanks for your notes, your smiles, your right, and stuff like that. And I'm here to answer your questions.